We're officially at the start of the ever-unpredictable Atlantic hurricane season, which is expected to last until November. Forecasters predict 8 to 13 tropical storms, 3 to 6 hurricanes, with 1 to 2 becoming major systems. That is why it is so important for us to plan for disasters in advance by making preparedness our responsibility. Hello and welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. We have a lot lined up for you, so please stay with us.
Hurricanes can strike at any time. In the event of one, be prepared to act quickly. If a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, review your home disaster response plan. Map out likely routes to evacuate if your home is at risk and confirm with relatives or friends you plan to stay with. Also, confirm the location of the nearest shelter. Check your emergency supplies and restock if necessary. Remember, disasters do happen, so be prepared.
Good day, I'm Caroline Brown-Thompson and this is your JIS News for Monday, June 2. The Electricity Sector Enterprise Team ESET to manage the 381 megawatt project has been named. During his sectoral presentation, Energy Minister Philip Paulwell named Dr. Vincent Lawrence as chairman of the enterprise team. The Office of the Prime Minister has now announced that he's to be joined by Professor Alvin Wint, a member of the Coordinating Committee of the Partnership Council, former Director General of the OUR and energy consultant Winston Hay, and trade unionist Helene Davis-White. The two private sector appointees are businessman Joseph M. Matalan and William Mafood. The team will report to and advise the Prime Minister and Cabinet on procurement for the new electricity generating capacity. They are also to address the urgent replacement of base load generation with a more efficient plant that utilizes lower cost fuel and provides reliable and affordable electricity. Cabinet has committed to provide complete, transparent and regular updates to the country. Government has completed a wide-ranging compensation policy for the public service. Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller made the announcement as she addressed the 95th annual general meeting of the Jamaica Civil Service Association last Thursday.
We decided we needed to develop an instrument that determines how we pay public sector workers for the work they do. Rest assured then that you'll be hearing more about this reclassification and the new regime when it is put in place.
She said the National Housing Trust and Ministry of Land were already being urged to consider the housing needs of public sector workers where feasible. Even as she assured public sector workers that government would be seeking to do all it can to enhance their welfare, Mrs. Simpson Miller stressed the importance of good customer service in the sector.
Every Jamaican citizen has a right to efficient and customer-friendly service from the public sector. Even in the midst of difficulties, we cannot afford to drop our hands. There's no room for inactivity and ineptness.
The Ministry of National Security is working on a plan to develop child-friendly institutions to house children who come in conflict with the law.
We want to identify a child-friendly facility to relocate the female juveniles from South Camp to something that looks more like a school or a home rather than a correctional facility. We're working, hopefully, the Minister of Education might be able to help us in that regard. But at this point, we haven't located anywhere, so we're wide open.
Minister Bunting was speaking at a mini expo at the Horizon Remand Center in Kingston as the Department of Correctional Services showcased items produced by inmates under its rehabilitation program. Government, in conjunction with the UK Prison Estate Consultants, is currently working on a 5-year plan to transform the Department of Correctional Services. Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips says government remains committed to supporting and upgrading the Jamaica Defence Force as it is essential to nation building. Dr. Phillips says the JDF not only supports crime-fighting efforts but also assists in disaster management and the completion of other national projects.
The JDF performs a unique and indispensable role, not only as an ultimate line of defense against external threats, but as a vital repository of the critical values essential to building a successful nation. Values of courage, discipline, patriotism, devotion to duty, professionalism, integrity, honor, and commitment to excellence.
The Finance Minister was speaking at the annual Victoria Cross dinner hosted by the JDF. The event commemorates acts of bravery by Private Samuel Hodge and Sergeant William James Gordon, the first non-Europeans to be awarded the Victoria Cross, the highest award for bravery in the armed forces of the Commonwealth of Nations. The Jamaica Anti-Doping Commission, JADCO, has signed a 15-month joint initiative agreement with its Canadian counterpart to help improve its operations. The agreement was signed on May 15 with the Canadian Centre for Ethics in Sport, CCES, which has over 20 years of anti-doping expertise. The partnership with CCES is expected to enhance JADCO's capacity to implement its own anti-doping program and meet the requirements of the World Anti-Doping Code. JADCO will also get guidance and technical assistance in making the necessary adjustments to meet new requirements under the World Anti-Doping Code 2015 and the mandatory international standards that come into effect on January 1, 2015. And finally, the 2014 hurricane season has begun, and people who may find themselves in a shelter during the period are being reminded to bring their own supplies. The urging comes from the Acting Director General of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, Richard Thompson.
Don't think that the shelter is a hotel. You need to take supplies to tie you over for roughly 2 days until the mechanism, the state mechanism chips in. Carry all your supplies to the shelter, your medical supplies. If you have babies, you ensure that you have their necessary stuff.
Forecasters expect a below normal hurricane season, predicting 8 to 13 tropical storms, with 3 to 6 of them becoming hurricanes. 1 or 2 of those could develop into major hurricanes. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Caroline Brown-Thompson. Thanks for watching.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Were you aware that Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller chairs the National Disaster Committee? She heads the agency which assists the National Disaster Executive and the ODPEM in implementing measures to counter the effects of disasters such as a hurricane. We now join Jamaica House Weekly for some more of the duties which occupy Mrs. Simpson Miller and her team at the OPM.
Compensation policy for public sector complete. Prime Minister Lord's household workers and youth urged to take advantage of opportunities. I'm Samantha Allen with Jamaica House Weekly. A wide-ranging compensation policy for the public service has been completed. Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller updated civil servants at the 95th Annual General Meeting of the Jamaica Civil Service Association on Thursday.
We decided we needed to develop an instrument that determines how we pay public sector workers for the work they do. Rest assured, then, that you'll be hearing more about this reclassification and the new regime when it is put in place.
She again assured public sector workers that the government would seek every opportunity to enhance their welfare. In terms of housing solutions, Mrs. Simpson Miller said talks had been held with the National Housing Trust and the Ministry of Land.
The work you do is of importance to our nation. You allow many men and women to leave their homes, their children, their property, and their most personal lives in trusted hands while they attend to other areas of business and nation building.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller lauding household workers at the inaugural Grace Kennedy Heather Littlewhite Household Worker of the Year Award ceremony on Friday. Elaine Duncan topped a field of 11 shortlisted entrants picked from more than 100 nominees for the Household Worker of the Year award. Ms. Duncan received $250,000, an account with $10,000 and a $50,000 gift certificate. She also gets the privilege of selecting a secondary school student who will get free tuition from Grace Kennedy for 1 year. The second place winner, Mervylyn Brown, walked away with $150,000, $25,000 from Hilo Foods, and an account with $10,000 from First Global Bank. Third place went to Edward McGowan. The other 8 shortlisted entrants received $20,000 each. And Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller joined the host of persons who paid tribute to the late American poet and author Maya Angelou, who died last week. Ms. Angelou was 86.
We're saddened by her passing. She was an inspiration to many women and men all over the world. We're reminded of some of the words she shared with us from her own often traumatic journey as a woman and a single parent from the age of 70.
News came from the office of the Prime Minister last week that members of the electricity sector enterprise team had been named. The team's goal is to fast-track the implementation of the 381 megawatt project, which will result in cheaper electricity for Jamaicans. A release from the OPM named energy consultant Winston Hay, Professor Alwyn Wind of the Partnership for Jamaica Council, businessmen Joseph Matalon and Winston Mafood, and trade unionist Helene Davis White as team members. Dr. Vincent Lawrence will chair the team. The minister responsible for information brought greetings at the graduation ceremony of the 58th cohort of the Inner City Youth Leadership Training Program. She challenged the graduates to take control of their lives by making the most of their opportunities.
Take control of your life and live it with purpose. Live it on the right side. Live it with meaning. And live it not only for yourselves but for others.
The program is a partnership between the Civic Affairs and Inner City Development Committee of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce and the University College of the Caribbean. Meanwhile, Minister without portfolio in the office of the Prime Minister, Natalie Nita Headley, took time out to share some inspiring words with another group of young people. They were participating in the Education Drives Success in Sports and Entertainment conference.
Some young people never get a chance for anybody to say to them, walk this way, talk this way, try it this way. Some people never get that chance. You have gotten this opportunity this morning. Take advantage of this opportunity.
The conference was put on by Men of God Against Violence and Abuse Magava, a faith-based organization that empowers victims of violence and abuse through presentations, counseling, and social intervention. And Mrs. Nita Headley congratulated the Jamaican team to the inaugural World Relays in the Bahamas on a truly magnificent performance. The minister without portfolio, who was among the spectators, said she was proud of Jamaica's athletes. Jamaica ended the games in second place on the medal standings behind the United States. Among the more outstanding performances was a new world record in the 4x200 men's relays. And that's it for this Monday's Jamaica House Weekly. We return next week with more highlights from the office of the Prime Minister.
Welcome to the FSC Minute. I am Nadine Newsom. Companies, when they list on the stock market, they often issue a prospectus. Today, we examine this issue and what are some of the things that investors should look for in a prospectus. Joining me is Gayon Knight, Acting Manager of Securities at the FSC. Welcome to the FSC Minute, Gayon.
Thank you, Nadine.
What is a prospectus?
Simply put, a prospectus is a written offer to sell securities to the public. Typically, The securities that are offered are bonds or shares in a company. At a minimum, a prospectus should contain information such as details of the offer, audited financial statements, unaudited quarterly financial statements, information about the directors and the management team, and also a discussion of the risks that are faced by the company.
What is the purpose of a prospectus?
Well, you see, Nadine, the prospectus provides both financial and non-financial information about the company. And as such, investors may use this information to make an informed decision as to whether or not they would like to invest in this company.
What should investors look for in a prospectus?
Investors should review the prospectus and try to get an understanding of the business of the company. Take a look at the management structure, examine the financial position, look at historical trends and also the future projections of the company. Additionally, if investors have any queries, they should seek professional advice from one of our licensed securities dealers.
Thank you, Gayon. My guest today was Gayon Knight, Acting Manager of Securities in the Securities Division at the FSC. For the FSC Minute, I am Nadine Newsom.
Commuters, travel the route to excellence. Get your new JUTC Smarter Card today. It's not only safer, it'll also have you boarding faster and get you on your way quicker. Cards are available at JUTC sales offices, the JUTC Lay-By in St. Catherine, the JUTC Halfway Tree Transport Center, and the East Parade office in Kingston. Print and collect your own ticket. Find the value in the JUTC Smarter Card. It's the smart way to go.
Last week, we enlisted the help of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, to assist us with our hurricane preparations. We rely on them once again to hear the do's and the don'ts following the passage of a storm.
After the system is doing your checks again to ensure that there is no compromise in your structure. We always say to people, just don't go walking about outside without something, proper footwear. Check on your children, especially even during the system, because kids are curious and you want to ensure that you have them close to you, that they don't go pulling the door and stepping outside, because you actually should not be walking about during the system, because you have all kind of debris being blown across. You have zinc sheeting and all these things that can really sever your heads and stuff like that. So you don't want to be outside during the system. But after the system, you want to do your checks. Check on your electricals. Check on your windows to ensure that they are intact, because you might need to do some kind of quick fixing after the system, ensuring that you are doing your checks, that if there are down power line, you might need to find ways to report that as quickly as possible, just to ensure that there's no live wires around that will get in water and cause any kind of electrocution. And yeah, you might, because during the blow, you will have that kind of movement. You get that kind of vibration effect from the wind, depending on the wind speed. So you want to check on your stove, check your cylinders and stuff like that, to make sure that everything is still intact.
It's important to store water during periods of drought. It's even more important to ensure that the water is safe. Boiling and treating your water with bleach are two of the best ways to purify water. If you choose the boiling method, allow the water to boil for 5 minutes, cover and let it cool. Store boiled water in a clean airtight container and use something with a handle to take out the water when needed. If you use bleach to make your water safe for drinking, use 2 drops of bleach to a liter of water, 8 drops for a gallon, and ½ teaspoon of bleach for 5 gallons of water. Shake well and leave for half an hour before use. Water is essential to a healthy life, so ensure yours is clean and safe for consumption.
Disaster preparedness is not the only major observance in June. It also plays host to National Road Safety Month. In recognition of that fact, we bring you an episode of Road Scholars dealing with distractions.
A motorist's ability to fully concentrate on the road is extremely important. Anything that requires a shift in focus should be avoided.
Smoking for one, drinking alcohol.
The drinking thing, I come from party and frost, that no worth it to dog. Mechanics man drivers, you know what I say?
If you are going to turn your radio up to a point where you can't hear anything around you, you're essentially deaf. How are you going to hear when an ambulance is coming through a red light, trying to get someone to the hospital or a fire truck? You're going to drive into the intersection and create an accident.
You can get distracted just about anyhow. You know, but yeah, because putting something in your mouth, you can just bop your eye and, you know, instead of a second, you are alive and others.
Reading newspaper is a no-no. You cannot be reading and driving at the same time. It's a no-no.
There's a loud music coming from some of these vehicles. Also, the way the public passenger vehicles drive, you have to be on the lookout for them at all times.
Something happen, like an accident happen, everybody slow down to look what is happening.
I've oftentimes been concerned about some of these very bright billboards that they put up at the driver's eye level. Oftentimes so bright that you can't even see the traffic light from the billboard.
The traffic environment is a busy one. Road users, drivers especially, have to be concerned with everything that is happening around them. But sometimes they engage in activities that limit their ability to be fully alert or react appropriately to situations. Driving distractions amount to anything that requires a driver to take his or her hands and eyes off the steering wheel or the road. Studies have shown that distracted drivers are setting themselves up for varying calamities. Drivers who use handheld devices are 4 times as likely to get into crashes serious enough to injure them. Using a cell phone while driving, whether it's handheld or hands-free, delays a driver's reaction as much as having a blood alcohol concentration at the legal limit of 0.08%. A driver sending a text message only has about 9% control of the steering wheel and the vehicle at the given time. Being distracted causes drivers to react more slowly to traffic conditions or events, such as another vehicle stopping or making a left turn or pulling out from a side road. Distracted drivers fail more often to notice or recognize potential hazards, including pedestrians, bicycles, or debris on the road. While these statistics are mainly from the United States, the situation in Jamaica is no less alarming, and authorities are taking note.
If it is that you are not familiar enough with your device that you can use it, find the play button without having to look at the device and take your eyes off the road and take your attention off the road, then don't use it. Set it before you start your journey, have your playlist ready, and continue on your journey. If you need to pay attention to it, pull off. It takes 25 seconds the most. Address your device, get the music you want to listen to, and continue on your way.
It is more important that you pull over, because sometimes the time you take to answer the phone, you're focusing on what you're hearing and not even paying attention to the road.
Consultation is taking place here in Jamaica about a law to ban the use of cell phones while driving by imposing fines and other sanctions. In the meantime, drivers of public passenger vehicles should not use cellular phones while driving.
Not ban altogether. If they use the earpiece, fine. As long as their hands are free to do the controls of the car.
Not really ban it, but a person himself must be more conscious, more conscious knowing that, all right, we have people in the vehicle, or may I protect myself and other people at the same time.
Yes, because my sister was hit by a car, and it was by somebody who was actually driving and using his cell phone, didn't see her crossing. So I'm totally against it. You know, I believe that there should be more that is done to prevent people from doing that.
Sometimes it's dangerous, depends on how you use it. Because sometimes you can be driving, and get an emergency call, and you have to take that call. And sometimes people just step on them BB, text, which don't make no sense. They can just wait.
When they attack, they not look for nobody, they don't even know where they drive.
I think it is necessary, given the fact that if you look at the US statistics, 330,000 persons are injured every year because of persons using the phone while driving. It makes you 10 times more likely to be in an accident. So from simply the standpoint of protecting life and property, it is necessary.
I don't think they should ban it. There could have been some regulation where you use an earpiece or something, because if everybody have to pull over when you get a phone call, you're going to have chaos on the road. You understand? So if you use an earphone, that could work.
Using earphones or hands-free kits may allow a driver to still maintain control of the vehicle with his or her hands. But a driver's best bet is to refrain from using them altogether, as their focus will now largely be placed on the conversation. While cell phones may be the most common distractions, a host of other things may lead persons to take their attention off the road. Here are some general tips to deal with them. Plan your route beforehand to avoid getting lost or focusing on navigational systems such as GPS. Ensure that children use child seats and seat belts to prevent them roaming in motor vehicles. Turn down the volume of music played in vehicles. Refrain from texting, emailing, answering phones, or attending to pagers while driving or walking. Avoid reading while driving, whether newspapers, billboards, or other advertisements. Do not watch television or DVDs in your car while driving. Avoid multitasking, such as combing your hair or applying makeup while driving. Have your meal before beginning your journey to eliminate the need to eat while driving. And keep conversations with other passengers to a minimum. At all times, remember that you are ultimately responsible for your safety and that of others.
And that's our show. Keep in touch with us via email, jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm, or join us on Twitter @JISnews. If browsing is more your speed, visit our websites jis.gov.jm or our YouTube and Facebook pages. On behalf of the entire team here at the JIS, I'm Theodore Henry, reminding you to be careful as you walk, ride, or drive on our nation's roads.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.